Hey everybody, welcome to episode 50 of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. Our guest today is Jason Shiers. Now, Jason is a transformative coach and certified psychotherapist. He's been working with businesses and entrepreneurs for several decades now, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And in this podcast, we talk about many things in terms of mindset, don't we?
There's a lot of mindset in there. Everything from kind of doing what you want and designing your life around those things to kind of making the decisions. He helps us make our own decision.
Yep.
That we've been pondering over for 3 months. And lots about creativity and using that to, how the mind kind of works, really.
Yeah. Enjoy this episode with Jason Shiers.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. So tell me a little bit about your background, how you ended up where you are now.
Well, my background in working with people for change, in some way or another spans back about 25 years, of working with people in different ways, but mostly from a psychological point of view, in psychological change. I trained as a psychotherapist for many years, and before that, long before that, did various counseling courses, personal development stuff, read loads of books and kind of was working with people. But what I figured was that psychological change for most people was really difficult. It's kind of like they'd come and they'd come back and they'd come back and they'd come back and they'd read more and they'd see different people. And it was like, you'd get somewhere. So I was always like on the search for looking for something to improve my way of helping people. So I was always passionate about helping people, but it was always about finding the right way. And, I'm a transformative coach now. So it's kind of like I went to see somebody, Michael Neal it was, in LA. And I'm doing the transformative coaching with Michael Neal, who wrote The Inside Out Revolution. And I just had an experience where my life changed in a second. It was kind of like I had an insight, and I realized that change came from the inside, not from the outside. And since then, I've been working with more spiritual than psychological change. So it's kind of like helping people to understand their experience of life from the inside, and what I find is that just spreads into so many areas of life, into parenting, business, whatever it is, relationships, in any way. So that's kind of like how I got to where I am today, and I think like the most important thing is that experience that I had of insight, of spiritual change, was that like it was much more effective than psychological change, and it happened much quicker, and it made much more of a difference than spending years of working through stuff with people, and that's kind of how I love to work with people now.
So what was that big transformative moment for you?
That was like, what I said was like that everything changed, but nothing changed. It was the realization that like all my problems were created by me. All my everything that I thought was a problem wasn't really a problem. It's like I carried around this real heavy weight of the world on my shoulders, like always thinking, what do I need to do about this? What do I need to do about that? How can I make this better? How can I improve this business? How can I make more money? Because life by design, if you want now, the era that we live in with social media and, so much influence from people and all the videos of people, how to make 6 figures, how to make 7 figures. It seems you just take on, it's not given to you, but you take it on as if it is given to you, pressure of like being this ultra performer in life, creating big businesses, creating 6 figures. Oh, well, they can do it. Why can't I do it? And it's like, I was like carrying that around, like, how can I do this? Everyone else can do it, and it's like, there must be something that I need to do more or something that I need to learn more. And what I realized was that all lived in here. It wasn't anything that I needed to do. There wasn't anything that I needed to change, because happiness, security, love, fulfillment, all the things of like experiencing life, being in the present on a daily basis, are only available in the moment. And I was living my life as if that when I got this 6 figure, thing, 7-figure thing, when I got this particular job, when I got this relationship, when I lost this amount of weight, then I would be able to be happy.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that I could have all those things now. I didn't need to do all that stuff. And it was like the weight of the world was removed. I no longer felt like I needed to do anything. I thought, well, I've always been okay. I've always had money. I don't need that money. It was kind of like, I don't need these things. I don't need to lose that weight just to be present. And it's like, and from then on, my life, I just started experiencing life more in the moment, being present, more human connection, more love, more just feeling of fulfillment and security. Realized all the shit that I'd made up, that I'd been living with for years, that was that all this pressure that I'd applied to myself, so that was the big change for me.
So many people do that as well. They go, actually, I want to be successful. I want to do this. And in their own minds, we talk about it quite a lot with our clients and in the LB podcast and things like that about, putting these pressures on. I think your line in your book was you can live the millionaire lifestyle without being a millionaire, because actually being that millionaire is actually being able to do what you want when you want and all that sort of stuff. And actually can do that without having £1 million in the bank. So people put those pressures upon themselves. And back 10, 15 years ago, it was actually, we want this big, Trump Towers and helicopters. Lamberton Towers, yeah, not Trump Towers, but yeah. But we wanted kind of, this was the growth of the business. It was able to do this. We can reach these heights and a bit more work and we can get this to happen. But actually, that never made us happy. That never, that didn't give us those things. So actually, from what what you're saying there, that affects lots and lots of people.
When people say to me about that, they come for coaching and like they want to earn £1 million or something. I mean, this isn't mine, but it's kind of like I read it in a book, and it's like I said, "Do you want to know what it feels like to be a millionaire?" And they say, "Yeah." And I say, "Okay, sit up straight in your chair. Relax, see how you feel. Are you feeling happy or sad?" And they usually say, "Oh, I'm quite happy." "Do you feel secure or insecure?" "Yeah, a little bit of both." It's kind of that's what it feels like. Nothing's different. It's kind of like, it's just the creation in the mind that when I get to that point, I will feel this. I'll feel happy. I'll feel more secure. And, and when you ask people, what number do you think it is that will give you security? And they come up with like 50 grand, 100 grand, 1 million, whatever it is. And it's kind of like, well, where did that number come from? I just made it up. It's kind of like, it's like some sort of calculation of the amount of money they spend per month versus plus what they think they need in order to be happy, just add it up. It's just made up from nowhere. So if the number is made up, why can't it be 10 or 100? It's kind of like, it's not real. You can't create feelings through financial abundance.
Exactly. Most people could live an absolutely amazing life on about £5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And yet they say, I need to be a millionaire. I need to have $1 million in the bank. No, you don't. You need cash flow of about £5,000 a month. And you can hire the best car you've got, at least the best car you've got. You can have some amazing holidays. If you do it in a very tax efficient way, amazing life you can live. You can lead that millionaire lifestyle on 60, 70 grand a year very easily.
Yeah. And also be present in the moment to enjoy that, and that is the most important thing of all of it, that life is in between all that stuff that we talked about, the things that people think they want to create in order to attain happiness. The most important point of all of that is that they're missing out on the present. Life is happening every single day, time with kids, time with friends, social life, just witnessing like beauty in the world, seeing things, connection with people, having conversations. All that stuff goes by because people are living in this video of like, when I get to, then I will be happy.
Yeah, I remember I used to walk my dogs around. There's a local National Trust estate here. This is going back to when we wanted Lamberton Towers and the helicopters and the yachts and supercars and everything like that. And I remember walking around this country estate going, right, I need to own an estate like this. Yeah. I need to own the acres and acres of land. I want wild deer roaming across my land.
You had a picture. I think your vision board was just one vision board, wasn't it? It was this big house with that. Yeah. For quite a few years. Yeah.
When actually, if I was, what would I need to do to achieve that? Well, I would need an income. I mean, the mortgage would have been a couple of £100,000 a year. So all of a sudden, I need to earn X amount of time, and in order to earn that money, I need to work 100-hour weeks. I need to absolutely slave. I need Lamerton Towers with 100 members of staff. And I need to have that in order to be able to have the country estate. And by doing that, I don't have the time to bloody walk around it with my dogs. When actually there's a National Trust one on my doorstep. How much of my time is it going to take me to mow the bloody lawn? I don't want to. I mean, I get someone in to mow my lawn here. Imagine if I've got 27 acres of land to tend for. I mean, I know the deer would take care of most of it. But it's, to me, what I needed was the time to be able to go around that estate and actually the freedom to do so. And like you say, it's that when I get there, then I'll be happy. And that was the big clincher, I think.
Yeah. And I was just thinking when you were talking, like Tony Robbins is probably like one of the biggest sort of names in personal development. And like, I when I attended that, I very quickly after 2 events just thought, this is just perpetuating the same message. It's almost like saying, we can work more, we can work 16, 18-hour days, we can earn more, we can all own our own businesses. And it's like getting that energy and geeing you up to that, and it's kind of like, but I just quickly realized that like, there's only, what they say about the rat race, even if you win the race, you're still a rat, it's kind of like, there's only so fast you can run on that race, and it's kind of like, that's not where happiness is. I feel much more contentment not being in that race, Yeah,
that's interesting because I remember listening to Tony Robbins coaching somebody who they said to him, look, Tony, how do I get £100 million? Or $100 million, I think it was. He said, well, why the hell? I'm not even going to do the accent. Why the hell are you? No, I can't do it. I cannot do the Tony Robbins voice. Jason, can you do the Tony Robbins voice?
No, definitely not.
Go on, have a go.
No, I can't do it.
There's got to be someone out there that can do the Tony Robbins voice.
Such a deep voice, It sounds.
I think I would need like 100 camels.
Cigarette things rather than the ones that
I would really need to have like the worst cold in the world to be able to do his voice. Anyway, Tony Robbins was coaching somebody. He said, right, I want $100 million.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why the hell do you want $100 million?
Yeah.
He said, well, because I need to have a private jet, and a private jet costs 80 million and it costs this much to run. And Tony went, well, why do you need to buy a corporate jet? Is it because Trump's got one? Is it because Grant Cardone's got one? Is it because you've seen a picture on Facebook of somebody in a private jet and you think, that's the lifestyle I want? I'm going to, what does it say? Work for a few years like no one else will so that I can live like others won't or others can't. He said, okay, let me give you some facts. He said, how often? He said, what do you actually need that private jet for? Where do you want to go? What city do you want to go from? What city do you want to go to? He said, like, I don't know, like Washington to LA or LA to San Francisco. How often do you need to do that? Well, I probably need to go over there once a month. And he said, okay, I charter private jets. He said, when I need to go from one city to another, I will charter a private jet. Let me tell you how much that costs. That costs something like $5,000 per charter. You need it pretty much every other month. You need $30,000 a year. You don't need $100 million. You need $30,000 a year, and you can have that lifestyle that you want. You can take all the selfies you want and show off on Facebook, which is what you really want. You don't want the private jet travel. You don't want to get there quicker. You don't want to get there more relaxed and more comfortable. You want to take a selfie and upload it to Facebook to impress your friends. That's the real crux of it. And to do that, 30 grand a year is all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great at seeing through people, I think, in that way, in individual coaching. I just think the events like perpetuate, like with the energy and the people that attend, all come out with this real like, it's kind of like, I'm going to do this, and it's kind of, when you get around that, it's like, it's easy if you can't see past that. I think the difference for me, like in what I do now, is that the direction of my coaching changed. Like, whereas before it was always about getting somebody from A to B, like A is where they are, B is what they want, and finding a way of like breaking that down. So what can you do today? How can you manage your time better? How can you de-stress yourself? Blah, blah, blah. Are you having a great social life? Whereas now it's about deepening levels of consciousness. you know, understanding yourself more, understanding what you want more, understanding the world more, having insight about what it is you want. And like, whether, I mean, a lot of people are, I mean, all the stuff that we talked about now, a lot of it comes down to purpose, you know, like what do people want and why do they want it, you know, and is it real? Do they just want the money for those reasons that you talked about? Do they just want to show off? Do they really feel insecure about themselves, you know, and is the money an offset, you know, for how they really feel about themselves as a person? You know, or however that shows up, you know, but the difference is that, like, with increasing levels of consciousness is like, you know, what really are you passionate about, you know? And it's kind of like, and you know, in the blog post, you know, what I sent you is kind of like talking about creativity, you know, that comes from within people, you know, what really lights you up, not how do you make money out of what really lights you up, but like that comes as a byproduct, you know, like what do you really feel passionate about? What could you get up and do every day that you just get up and think, fucking can't wait to do this, you know, like I love this stuff. It's like me, I love working with people. I love it when people, you know, just have an insight where they see something different for their life. I love it when people say, oh, my life changed so much just when I realized that, you know, it just makes me passionate, you know, because I've been on that transformational journey myself, and I love igniting that fire for other people. Not like the A to B stuff was good because people would achieve things, but really like understanding like why and what other direction could life go in, you know, when you really look inside yourself and, you know, rather than into that forced skill of life, you know, like where you go and learn something and then you get better at it, you know, it's kind of like looking for what comes from within you, you know, often like you wake up, I don't know about you, but like I wake up with ideas. I sometimes wake up at 6 a.m. and think, oh, I should do this, you know, that sounds like a great idea. And it's like, where did that come from? You know, it's like, I wasn't studying that thing all night in my sleep, you know, or it's like, it was just there when I woke up, you know, it came through me. It just came from some force greater than me, you know, it's like, it was just, you know, and that's the type of stuff that I love working with.
Yeah, but most people don't understand, or they completely underestimate the power of your subconscious brain, and sleep is the best thing you can do to do that. I mean, my book of the year for last year was Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I listened to it on audio. It's a 14-hour listen, which is summed up in 3 words: get more sleep. But I mean, it's so interesting. The reason we have electricity now is all because of sleep. So yeah, Thomas Edison, obviously the creator, the inventor of the electric light bulb, he used to sleep in a chair, and he'd position himself in this chair, and in his left hand he would hold a number of metal ball bearings, and on the floor he would have a steel tray, and he would just doze off with a problem in his mind that he wanted to solve. And what he would do is he would just go to sleep, and then the minute he would enter deep sleep, REM sleep, the muscles in the body completely relax. Now, at this point, he obviously, the left hand then releases the ball bearings. They then hit the steel tray on the floor, wakes him up. Yeah. He's then at his most creative because his brain is still in that mode it would be if he was in deep sleep, where it's working on the problems that you've subconsciously given it. And I mean, you know, this obviously Matthew Walker certainly gives huge credit to it, but that is the reason why Edison was so creative and was able to, he actually manipulated his sleep. I mean, I'd love to know how, you know, over 100 years ago, somebody could actually figure this stuff out. He didn't have access to the internet. He didn't go on Wikipedia and suddenly find out that there's a sleep hack that he could do. He just figured out that, oh, when I wake up in this state, the problems that I went to sleep with suddenly come to me, as if by magic.
And that's why the light bulb goes above your head, isn't it?
That must be it. It's the light bulb moment.
This subject excites me, you know, it's kind of like, I love it. And I might see it a little differently to that, you know, to how you explained it, you know. And I think that what happens is like that we try to solve problems with thought, you know, and it's kind of like we're trying to think our way. And what happens is the more that you get up here, you know, the less creative you are. and it's kind of like you can't resolve problems with thought. And it's kind of like you might notice it where people say, I'll just step away from it for a minute and forget about it, and then all of a sudden some idea comes. And like, the premise is that everything is created from nothing, right? Everything, if you look around you, one day was an idea for somebody. Let's come up with this, let's come up with that. Kitchens, walls, buildings, paint. Everything's like come from nothing. And creativity, flows through us from source. Something that's bigger than all of us. It's universal. It's there for everyone. And I think what happens when you sleep is your thoughts settle. You go into a more natural state, and then when you wake up, you're not caught up in thought, and wisdom is more accessible to you. To flow through you, and that's why for a lot of people, I think great ideas come in the morning, and often, like when I'm working with somebody and they're really like, you can see that they're in that intellectual part of their brain where they really trying to access the answers to stuff, and it's like, I'll come up with this, we'll brainstorm it, like. As an example, like a business meeting, right? You've sat around a board table, right, where you're all trying to come up with a solution to something, and then the room goes quiet. Nobody speaks, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone says, "Why don't we try this?" Where did that idea come from? It came out of they came out of their heads. They came out of the thought about it, and all of a sudden, from somewhere, that little gut feeling or that little piece of wisdom, flowed through somebody. And then next thing, everyone's working on that because it seemed like a great idea. And that's kind of like how I see it, how that creativity flows through all of us. And the only thing that stops it is us, is our beliefs about ourselves, our thinking, our applied skill that we've learned that we think we need to use in order to create or to make things better, and it's like, that thing is accessible to all of us. Everyone will tell you at some point, how many people have said to you, you talk about something like Amazon or eBay, and so how many people will say to you, I had that idea years ago, but I wish I would have done it. With something big, anything that's successful, you can speak to people and they'll say, I had that idea, but I just didn't want to invest in it, or I didn't think it was good at the time, and I wish I would have done it. That happens all the time, right?
Yeah, we've been told that. Just about every successful business we've ever had, somebody has said to us, I had that idea.
Yeah.
Right. We implemented the idea. That's, I think it's Mark Cuban who I quote sometimes. He said, ideas are worthless. It's the execution that makes them valuable. Until you actually implement an idea. Someone, I was on a Facebook thread the other day, and someone said, how much is an idea worth? And to me, an idea is worth absolutely nothing until you do something about it. Do you agree with
that? Well, I was going to say my next step with that type of conversation is often like that. Can you predict the future? Can any of you guys predict the future?
I don't think so. No. What's your take on the lottery numbers for this week?
They're looking good.
Yeah.
I think it's been 6 of them.
Does Mystic Meg still do that? It's going to be somebody with a green door is going to win this week.
So what most people do is they get an idea, right? And then they try to predict the future with their thoughts. Mm-hmm. They sit there and they go, okay, if I invest this money into this idea, this is what might happen. Or if I don't, this is what I'll be left with. And it's like they sit there in their head trying to predict the future with thought, and they speak to someone else. What do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea? And they all sit around trying to predict the future, which none of us can do. None of us know what's going to happen. So the only thing that's really relevant with an idea is whether it feels good and whether it feels like the right thing to do, and it's kind of like everyone, as you both know, everyone who's been successful, like if you read their books, like has failed more times than they've been successful.
Yeah.
Right. So you get an idea. Does it feel like the right thing to do? Don't get caught up in your head about thinking whether it's the right thing to do, because like you just can't predict that. It's pointless. It's just a waste of like energy and headspace. So like, does it feel like the right thing to do? Okay, what feels like the right next thing to do? Okay, this feels like the right next thing. This doesn't. It's like we've got an inner knowing for what seems like the right thing to do, and when we're following that guidance, that's coming from, not coming from our own heads, our own limited experience of life, our own intellect. It's kind of then, and the thing is, when you're not caught up in that, I need to earn £100 million in order to be a success or whatever, you're able to do that. You've got more access to that place. And the other parts of that is that you will enjoy the journey, even if you fail, because it won't matter. It won't have meaning applied to it. Like, you won't be a failure or a success. You will just be someone who tried something, and someone who tried. The people who are successful have all allowed themselves to fail multiple times without applying meaning to it, without it becoming like the end of the world. Like, oh, I tried this, it didn't work, I'm a failure, I give up. It's kind of like they just kept trying because they didn't have that applied meaning that most people give to that. It's not like a one-shot thing, where you've got one chance to be successful. It's like, keep trying things. This feels like the next right thing. That's a good thing. I'm enjoying it in the process. I'm living my life. I'm enjoying life. I'm in the present. I'm having good times. Okay, it didn't work out. Let's try the next thing. What feels like the next right thing? And then always come into, people who do that always come into some place of something that works, and it
It's
gathers.
interesting, actually, because we've been battling over an idea that kind of a proposition, if you like, that got put to us kind of in the end of October. A business venture, a kind of joint venture with other parties, kind of thing, taking over a place. And we've been racking our brains. And as you said, it takes up a whole lot of headspace, which actually it doesn't need to take up, because our hearts kind of say, actually, it's a really good thing. We really want to do this because it's the right thing for us at the right time, sort of thing. But actually, our heads kind of been saying, well, actually, no, let's look at the numbers, let's do this, and let's work through this. And actually, that could fail. It's not going to work out. And actually, and to be fair, we're still in that same limbo of 3 months later as to whether or not it is such a good idea or it isn't a good idea. The offer is still available. The proposition is still on the table, sort of thing. So, and as you say, it takes up a huge amount of headspace, which it probably didn't need to do. Or doesn't need to do if we kind of apply a different way of looking at it. So I'm really interested about what you've got to say about it. Really good there. Your last comment there.
Yeah. I'd love to hear whether this conversation sparks a different direction for you with that. It's kind of like gives you a different way of thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's me. That's me.
The minute this proposition, it's a restaurant. It's not a sector we know about, but it's a sector that the minute we became aware of the opportunity, we became very excited, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And all we saw was opportunity everywhere. And the heart absolutely said, right, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then we started thinking. And we started jotting down some numbers. Well, actually, what happens? Actually, there's a competitive, brand new venture opening up 300 yards up the road. Actually, there's potentially a recession coming. It's not a sector we know about. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And before you know it, we're thinking. And it's like, I always liken it to saying, we're that little kid sat at the top of a death slide.
Yeah.
You can either go 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Or you can go, right,
I'm gonna die.
It's cold, my God, it's way up, isn't it? I nearly fell then. And the more you think about it, the less likely you are to actually push yourself off. Now, I'm not saying that in this investment scenario we should have just gone, screw it. What's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is we lose a lot of money and a person with a hell of a lot of debt. So yes, we do need to think about it, but there comes a point where the thinking has to stop and we need to take action. Now that action can be, yes, we'll do it. Let's sign the lease. Let's sign the agreement. Let's take this business on. Or the action could be, no, we're not doing this, draw a line under it. And I actually did take that action once. And then, just like The Godfather, just when I thought they were out, they pulled me back in. Someone else came to us and said, oh, well, I might be interested. I have got experience in this sector. Oh, no. And we're back now, as I say, at this point in time, as we record this, we're in that kind of limbo stage again where we're probably, I would say we're probably not going to do the deal.
What would Jason say on this? Let's have some live
coaching.
Yeah. Are we thinking about it too much?
Have you ever made a great decision? Any of you, have you ever made a great decision in your life?
Oh yes.
Yeah. What did it feel like? Like what was the feeling of that decision? What was it first? Give me one example.
The greatest big decision I made was probably to give up the day job and to start doing this internet thing.
Yeah. And how was that? Like, what was the feeling or the experience of that? Just like, yes, I know this is the right thing to do, kind of like.
Well, at that time, I made the decision.
Yeah, or was it?
I think at the time I made the decision to do it.
Yeah.
It was out of necessity because it was a desire to escape the
Got it.
that I hated.
So it was like things had got shitty and you wanted to do something different.
Yeah, it's like I can't, I was only, 22, 23, but I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Literally another, I was in the civil service, so potentially I had another 40 years ahead of me. It's like, there's no way I'm doing this for the next 40 years. I need to escape. And it was that real strong desire to avoid the pain of my current situation. Yeah.
Have you ever made it? So, like, can you make a decision when things are not shitty? Can you make a good decision when things are?
Absolutely. I think that's probably what has led to a lot of the success we've had. Is we do make decisions, good decisions, bad decisions, but we make quick decisions.
Yeah.
We act on those decisions and then we monitor.
Yeah. So, what was a good decision you made when things were good? It wasn't because things had got shitty, and you just knew it was the right thing to do.
Possibly, focusing on the sports betting business. Mm-hmm. I would say that was a key decision we made probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were running lots of different businesses, and we decided to focus on one because it was doing better than the others in terms of looking at the key performance indicators. And it was like, well, actually, if we focus more of our attention on this, we know we're going to get a good return. And here we are now that that business is 10x from where it was then.
Yeah.
That was probably a very good decision that was made during good times.
Yeah. And that just felt like a fuck yes. Like, this is a good thing to do.
Yeah. It was a logical decision, but I think also it was, I look at every decision we make as a temporary decision. Let's do this and see what happens. So we're going to focus entirely on the sports betting. I remember saying to you, we sat down, we had a meal, I can picture the table we were sat at, and saying, I'm going to work full time on doing one thing for one business, which is completely different to what I'd done before. But if that hadn't worked out, then 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, we'd have been sat at that same table saying, right, that didn't work. Yeah. What should we try now?
Yeah, everything's only temporary, isn't it? Yeah. That's the thing. Everything's temporary. Yeah. So what the decision or whatever else, most things are temporary.
We see it a lot with our 1% club, the coaching clients we've got, whereby they'll be agonizing over a decision, whether that is to go into a new business venture, launch a new product line, or to hire their first member of staff.
Yeah.
And they look at it as this really, really scary big decision that is permanent and forever, and it's going to be on their CV for the rest of their lives. Or even some people, it's, oh, Christ, I don't know about doing a Facebook post because it's out there, it's permanent. Well, it's not, it's fleeting, it's of the moment. And if it's a bad decision, you do something else and you replace it with another decision. And if that decision doesn't work out, you replace it with another decision. Your life is like a massive flow chart.
Yeah.
Do you want to do A, B, or C? I'll do C. Right, you've now got some more options. Would you like option 1, 2, or 3? And every decision you make takes you down a different path. And you can always work back up that flow chart. Say, actually, I didn't like that last decision. Can I get a do-over, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that it's more lighthearted and it's less sort of life dependent. Every time you make a decision, that there's less pressure on it. I was just trying to get to a point of understanding decisions. That most people are trying to, like we said before, weigh up the future with their thoughts, and that's why the decision becomes so big. So that's why I was asking you about making a decision that seemed like a positive thing, that was something that just felt like the right thing, and on the flip side of that, I would ask you what's a hell no decision? Anything for you at the moment?
Well, in terms of we wouldn't do it point blank, would refuse to?
Yeah, hell no.
Anything. Right now, for me, that is anything that demands my time.
Okay.
I'm valuing time above everything else this year. So, you can put whatever monetary value on it you want, but if you're telling me that I'm needing to invest 5 days, a month into it, no, not going to happen. Or, doing stuff that I don't enjoy. I fell into that trap last year of doing stuff for money that was, the rewards were good, but I needed to do stuff that just didn't interest me in the slightest. It bored me, and I wasted my time doing stuff that I didn't enjoy for money that I don't need.
Yeah. So you've got a good contrast then between a hell no and a yes, that was a great idea, right? Mm-hmm. So when you come for decisions, so with your restaurant, have you weighed up everything that you can weigh up? Have you got the information that you need?
I don't know. Have we?
I think we've got all that we can. What we don't have is there's still question marks there. I think that's the thing, and that question marks is probably the future, and that's going back to the original point. To be honest with you, it's actually what will happen, what could happen, and things like the new developments and all that kind of stuff, which will have an impact on the business and whatever else. So kind of what's happened in the past isn't going to happen. What's in the future, sort of thing. So probably the question mark is the future for us. Yeah.
So currently, it's not a hell no, and it's not a hell yes. And it's kind of like, and you've got the information that you need. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like at this moment, I don't know. And like from somewhere, so there's nothing else to think about, and the more that you come out of trying to work out the future, and come out of that, then you will just instinctively know, is this right or is this not right? You'll never get to a place of decision. Or if you do, you'll be constantly going back on it, like going, oh, I should have thought of this, I should have thought of that. And it never feels like a congruent place to come from.
No, I don't think either of us would be disappointed if we didn't take it or if we did, if that makes sense. I don't think it's not one of those, as you say, it's not a hell yes moment and it's not a hell no moment. So it's kind of like, actually, whatever happens, it doesn't really matter, which probably means it's a no then, to be fair.
I think
because actually it needs to be that hell yes, otherwise wouldn't it? There you go, Jason, thank you very much for your decision. I love you for that.
Yeah.
You're in.
Well, there's two thoughts there. One is, number one, if you could guarantee that as part of this deal, my role for that business is absolutely doing nothing but marketing, and it's putting the marketing systems in place. And I'm going to, in terms of a time requirement, it's half a day or it's a day, a month. Absolutely, I can do that. It's a yes. The second thing for me is it's that mantra again of if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, because what we've looked at here is an opportunity, and there will be many more opportunities. We do not have to take this opportunity. We can sit there and watch it go by, and do you know what? Someone else can pick up that opportunity. And they can make a shitload of money on that. And we can go, that's great. And then, do you know what? In 3 years' time, we can go, yeah, we had that idea. But we don't need to pull the trigger every time. I've been reading Charlie Munger again over the break. And Munger and Buffett, they're snipers. And they have been, Charlie Munger was 95 years old on New Year's Day. These guys have been building businesses and doing investments for more than 6.5 decades now. And I read a quote from him, which was, I think, from a year or two ago, which said, if you took the top 10 investments they've done over those 65, 70 years out, they'd be bang average. Mm-hmm. And instead, they're worth nearly $100 billion. Now, they're worth $100 billion because they do maybe one big investment a year. They say, no, too hard, don't know enough about it, no. And then what they don't do is think. What they do is they say, this opportunities are 10 a penny. There are just so many opportunities out there. And what they do is they're very, very picky about what they choose. And just actually, we're sat going, oh, this question mark's not sure, right? So in effect, that's a hell no, because we've got doubts. When we sit and go, oh my God, this is brilliant, all the ducks in a row, this is great, that's when, to quote Buffett and Munger, you pull the trigger and you go in heavy. Every time they do an investment, they don't dip their toe in the water and, like you say, try and second guess what the future is going to be. They kind of know what the future is going to be because they're buying £10 notes for £2.50. And they know that they're buying £10 notes for £2.50. So they will happily pile £300 million into that deal. And it's being that selective to say, do you know what, that's an opportunity. We can say no to it. Whereas, the old us would have probably gone, yeah, but it's exciting, isn't it? The problem is, and I'm speaking for myself here, I don't know about you, Jason, but I can just see myself swanning around that restaurant because I own that. And it's that visualization of, come and have a meal in my restaurant.
I can see myself running around that restaurant.
Have you tried the specials? Yeah, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Shake some cocktails, all that sort of stuff.
Unfortunately, it would also involve lots of phone calls from the police at 2 a.m. saying someone's broken into the back door and the head chef hasn't turned up tonight, and this delivery's come up and all the freezers have broken, all the chicken's gone off. That would also be part of it. And time above all else, I don't want to be dealing with that. So thank you, Jason. I think you've answered our question there in terms of whether we're going to do this deal or not.
Except there's a caveat. I think the caveat coming up. You can see.
Oh no, I was just going to say, it sounds like you've actually come up with your own answer. It's kind of like with the right questions. It's kind of that's how I always see things working. It's just all I do is really shine a light. Like over there, have you had a look at this? It's kind of like, and people always come up with their own answers. It's just about it's always within. The answers are always within you. It's like that's how it works.
I'll tell you a brief story. I was working with a coach about 5 years ago now for some self-confidence issues, and hadn't really fully explored the whole kind of lifestyle business aspect by then. I had kids. They were very, very, very young at that time. They were probably sort of 3 and 1. So, the family was important to me, but I was sat with this coach and he got me to kind of write out some thoughts, and he had several questions. And one of the questions was along the lines of, what do you actually want out of life? What is all this for? What do you want? And I wrote down what then turned into my ultimate job description that I wrote in Big Ideas for Small Businesses, which is, I want to do what I want, when I want, where I want, how I want, if I want. And I had this sheet of A4 and I'm jotting this down. I was like, that's what I want to do, what I want, where I want, how I want, where I want. If I want, I don't even have to do it. And then he sort of drilled down further into, okay, what does that look like? What sounds can you hear? And I wrote all this down. And then the final question he asked was, what was it? It was along the lines of, what needs to happen to achieve this?
Yeah.
And I had my pen over the paper and I just glanced up, and we were about, sort of half a room away. And I just glanced up, and all of a sudden this massive smile came over my face, and he sort of looked at me and said, what are you smiling at? And I wrote down my answer. And then afterwards he came up to me, he's like, what was that moment when you give me that big smile? And I said, well, that was the moment I realized and wrote down that I was 90% of the way there, and that what I thought was really hard and, oh my God, this is going to involve huge transformation, I'm going to have to change so many things, like, actually, no, I'm almost there. And it's like, geez, I've got here by accident almost, and with a little bit of thought and design, I've only got to tweak a few things, and my God, I can achieve everything that I want. And literally 6 months later, it was pretty much 99% done. But it was that moment, and let's say he literally caught my eye that moment, and this massive grin was on my face, and he spotted it. It was just amazing. And even now, as I said, 5 years later, A, I still remember that, and B, I've still got that sheet of paper on my desk in my office.
And C, you still get a smile when you say it.
I do.
Life by design. I love working with people on that. Like, how would your greatest life look like? And going through all that stuff and sort of, and actually, looking, I guess great for you that you were in that position at the time, but for some people, sort of working through the limitations of what they think would stop them having those things, and all self-created limitations, because we're all capable of living that life, of having the things that we want and having the enjoyment, and drilling down more into like, how do you want to feel in that? How do you want to experience it? How much time do you want to spend with your kids? How much social life do you want? How many hours do you want to work? And things like that, really. And that, like, opening people's mind to the possibility that, like, that's okay, you can do that. It's kind of like, it's not an impossibility. We don't have to live this society imposed, socially acceptable life of working 9 to 5, getting a pension, retiring when you're 65, having 2 kids, living in a terraced house, just about paying the bills to get by, and getting sick and going to, and all that stuff. You don't have to live like that. It's kind
I think
of like,
that's the big revelation, really, or that is the big thing that people can either take from this podcast. Certainly, is you don't have to live the way everybody else you think expects you to live, and that's the thing. And actually, you can design the stuff that you want to do, and there are small changes you can make that make that what you really want to do out of it. And I think that's a really big message.
Yeah, and the big thing that I say along with that is that, like, most people believe, like what I started off with, it's that most people believe that they're a victim to their circumstance, that, like, they're in especially when money looks like the financial limitation, like, oh, I work 9 to 5, I've got 2 children or whatever it is, and I have to support them, and I have to stay in this job, and it really looks impossible, in order to change. It's like that. All the limitations are not the circumstances. They're not the money. They're not the job. They're not the lifestyle. They're within your own mind, and, like, they're how you see the world. They're in your perception of reality. They're not in reality. They're not in factual reality. They're in the reality that you create in your mind. And because they are, that's the great thing, because you can change that. Every one of us can change that. Every one of us can change. Just a small change will change the perception of reality. Will change impossibility to possibility. Doing things from coming from a place of possibility makes everything different, rather than coming from a place of impossibility. I mean, everything's a reflection anyway. Our mind is a projector. It's not a camera. We don't see what's around us. We create what's around us from what we see, from what we believe to be true. And that's a great thing of working with people, that all that can change, all that can change within you, all that can change by having the right vision, by inputting the right material into yourself, rather than having to change your circumstances.
That's fantastic. I mean, you've helped us with our decision making. That's brilliant. That's worked out. If any of our listeners want to hear more from you, or would like to get in contact with you and maybe find out what these possibilities could be, how can people get hold of you?
My website is Wide World Coaching, www.wideworldcoaching.com. You can contact me through there. It connects to my Facebook. It's got my phone number on there, and my email also.
Fantastic. Final question for you, Jason. This podcast is called the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. What does an ambitious lifestyle look like for you?
Wow. There could be so many different perceptions to the word ambition. I think for many people, it could be about property and prestige and finances. For me, it's about living the best experience of life, being present in the moment, witnessing my children grow up. One thing I wrote on my website, and it's kind of like, this ties into it, is that I thought as a father, that I was here to show my kids the way. But we didn't touch on this, but quickly realized that, they came along to show me the way, because when kids are born, they're so free and they're so in the moment, and they're so not installed with all sorts of values and beliefs from society. And they're so creative and fun and happy and enjoying things without filters, without limitations. And ambition for me is always about, like, just experiencing life in that way, in a fun, connective, free way. It's getting back to that, uninstalling all the software that's been installed, all the beliefs about how things should be, and really enjoying that. And having, creating business and working with people and doing all those things, but enjoying it along the way, not aiming for a goal, but enjoying the journey.
Yeah. Definitely. It's the thing. Life is a journey, and it is about the journey, not the destination, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But you are going to have to get on an airplane if you want to Yeah.
If you want that.
Well, if you got an airplane, you actually do want to land at some point, don't you?
The airplane could be a great metaphor, though, for all sorts of things, couldn't it? You got to get on an airplane, but I mean, an airplane could be any sort of journey that you go on.
Yeah, enjoy the journey. So the key takeaway then is hire a private jet. It's not that expensive, and then you'll enjoy the journey more.
Absolutely, if that's what you want to do, if that's what feels right in the moment, that could be the thing to do.
And don't forget to take that selfie, upload it to Facebook. That way, you can live that Facebook filtered life that all of us seem to sort of fall into that trap of doing, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you very much for joining us, Jason. Really appreciate that. And thanks a lot. We'll see you later.
Thanks very much, John. Thanks so much, Jason. Take care, guys.
So thanks once again to Jason Shiers from wideworldcoaching.com for joining us there. James, what was your key takeaway from our little chat with Jason there?
I think, to be fair, it was helping us make our own decisions about things, and they're going through those thought processes and stuff to make that decision.
Yeah, I think so many of us agonise over decisions for far too long. We do overthink things, and I think once you let the brain just talk you out of things, talk you into it, well, you could do this, you could do that, you do end up sitting on the fence.
Or the death slide. I liked your thing about the death slide. I thought that was a particularly good analogy, really. You could kind of sit there and you could ponder for hours whether you're going to jump or not, or you could just go and do it. It's got to be that hell yes, I think. I mean, that's the key takeaway. It's hell yes, or let's not bother, because you're not all in. If you're not all in on a decision, then actually you're not in, are you? If that makes sense. That's the thing. So,
why are you sat at the top of the death slide? It's because you wanted to go down the death slide and you climbed the steps. So you obviously want to do it. So that decision is a hell yes. 3, 2, 1, off we go.
Hell yes.
There we go.
So what did you take away from talking to Jason today?
My key takeaway was about doing or making decisions based on what you actually want out of your life, rather than living this kind of fake Facebook filter life whereby everything's great, everything's wonderful. If you look at people's Facebook feeds, they live a fantastic lifestyle. They go to the gym every day, and their kids are brilliant, and they're so well behaved, and they're achieving top marks at school, and they never argue with their partner, and work is just a joy to come into every day, and just life isn't actually like that. And yet the filter that people tend to apply, particularly when uploading it to social media, is very much that. And I think so many people compare themselves to the perfect version of other people, as opposed to what their life is actually like. People think that Richard Branson spends his entire time wakeboarding around on the Virgin Islands. Now, I'm sure he doesn't do that all the time. I'm sure he's got a pretty damn good life, but I bet there's days that Richard Branson wakes up and thinks, oh God, not again. Oh, I can't be bothered. I've got that to do today. I bet there are days when he feels, oh my God, I bet there's days he doesn't get on with his kids, when he actually argues with them and thinks, oh my God, or he has a run-in with somebody at work, or something goes wrong. But the version that you see is the abseiling, kiteboarding, guy on the private island, running his jets and having an absolute blast all the time.
Write your own scripts. Don't follow other people's.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And thank you, Jason, once again for joining us. Thank you very much for helping make our decision for us. I think
that's good.
We've reached the decision at last. So, yeah, make more decisions, guys. Make more decisions. They are temporary decisions. You don't have to commit long-term to them, but just make more decisions, take more action, and don't overthink things. And we will see you next month on the next exciting episode. What was that cartoon that used to end with that? On the next exciting episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.